What's up, Financial Zen Masters? I am so excited about our business. Oh my God, it's all coming together and we are going to change the world. Stay tuned when I tell you how. Hey, I'm Rick. Welcome to the Financial Zen channel, where the big question is, how can you, a hardworking, super successful professional with kids at home and a mortgage to pay, how can you quit your 9 to 5 so you can go pursue your passions for the rest of your life while still providing for your family? That is the question. We have the answers. Welcome to the Financial Zen channel. I'll be your guide, Rick Valenzi. So I thought I'd do, I'm really into this marketing guru, Russell Brunson. He's sort of he's my idol right now. I'm just so immersed in his world for a number of reasons, which I'll tell you about some other time. But one of the things that he said is when you start a channel, like I'm new to social media. I tried LinkedIn. I tried a few things here and there, Facebook, with minor, minor initiatives. But YouTube's the first major initiative, right? And part of the reason why is because I now have a roadmap. And one of the things he says is like, hey, if you don't know what to shoot, if you're looking for content, like just document your journey, right? And I think our journey is fascinating. Obviously, I'm sort of center stage of our journey, but I think most people would find our journey fascinating. The reason is like we're not just like another financial planning firm. We're not just trying to like move peas around your plate and get you to retire a couple years earlier. We're trying to change the game for you, right? We're trying to get you to your financial Zen year, your financial Zen number, where you can go do whatever the hell you want. You want to keep working? Great, sure, keep working. You want to jump off, go start your business? Cool. You want to go start a volunteer? You want to go sail around the world? Like whatever it is, let's get you there faster. There was more to your life than working, slaving away at 9 to 5 until you hit 65, right? When you're too old to live the rest of your life. Okay, so that's our goal. And so I want to document the journey. And the reason why I'm so fired up right now is this guy, Russell Brunson, one of the other things that I've taken away from him is there needs to be this congruence, right? I'll explain it like this. I'll tell you my backstory. I came to this excitement from figuring out what our backstory was, like the most important pieces, so that I could tell people, which kind of explain the story of Financial Zen, how we got here, and therefore how we can help. And the backstories finally come together. So let me tell you, I think I attempted to do this sort of in my first intro video. So some of this might be a repeat, but basically, there were three major points, sort of turning points that led to where we are today, right? And our message is we help people, we help young professionals, young families achieve financial Zen so you can quit your 9 to 5 and go pursue your passions, right? That's the theme, right? And we got to hear through three different major sort of turning points. Number one turning point was I was on my third career pivot after investment banking and DJing. And I was in sales, right? And basically killed it, crushed it, got promoted, crushed all the sales records, got promoted inside of 6 months. So all of a sudden I was running an 11-person sales team. We crushed our numbers, top of the heap, top of the pile. It was awesome, made a ton of money. And then this dude from the West Coast flew in and he was real slick, kind of used car salesy. Really smart though at corporate politics, because literally the day he landed, he started scheduling lunches with all of upper management, which is brilliant. I never had that mindset. So anyway, my director, bit hook, line, and sinker, like all the way. Man, she was hooked. And she tried to basically replace me with him. But my numbers were so good, she couldn't like force me out, right? And she was still happy with me. She just like really liked this guy, right? Like, all right. But that was the breaking point. So that was pivot number one. That was like when I started re-examining my life, looked 35 years down the road, and was like, I'm not going to do this for another 35 years. No way. No how. And that's when I sort of jumped off the path, right? That's when I was like, 9 to 5, screw that. I need to find something that I'm going to be super passionate about for the next 35 years. And then did the soul searching, came up with financial planning, and haven't looked back in 16 years, right? So that was pivot number one, start financial planning. Then I got to Wells Fargo. This is all new from the intro video. Then I got to Wells Fargo, right? And inside any big brokerage firm, they are not financial. I know their business cards say financial advisors, or they're not allowed to say financial planners. That's for a reason. Okay, I'm here to tell you, I went through the training, and in training, they didn't teach us financial planning. They taught us literally, the training modules were how to sell a mutual fund. We learned how to sell a mutual fund. Here's how to pitch a mutual fund. Not hey, here's how to construct a portfolio. Hey, here's how to help people with their insurance needs. It was how to. Anyways, don't get me started. So my point to me telling you this is that I largely had to figure it out on my own because I came into Wells Fargo as a financial planner. I always knew that I would just use that as a stepping stone to start my own firm. So I always had the financial planning mindset. I came in with the educational component of my CFP already completed, so I was already in that zone. So I had to come up with my own systems, right? Because there weren't any systems available. So I had to develop all on my own, which means I did a ridiculous amount of research. I talked to a ridiculous amount of people. I watched so many things, read so many things. Like my entire life is financial. 80 hours a week for the last 13 years. It has led to this, right? And I created this really good system, right, that works really well. So that's part of the benefit that came out of it. The pivotal part came with who I was required to work with. Right, so at these big brokerage firms, you can only get paid based on your assets under management. They call it an AUM fee, right? So you give me $1 million, I charge you 1% of that $1 million, which means you give me 10 grand a year. Wells Fargo takes 70% of that, right? The brokerage firms take 70%. I get my 30% cut, and that's what I get, right? So what that requires you to do is to work with people that have a lot of money, that can have a lot of money, so they can give you a lot of money, so you can make a living, and put food on your table, right? Because Wells Fargo takes 70%, and so that forced me to sort of start working with retirees. So I bought some corporate directories, cold called through the corporate directories of the 3 particular companies, and started to accumulate a client base that all worked at these companies that were sort of getting on the edge of retirement, so they had the money, right, to be able to give Wells Fargo their massive cut and put a little bit of food on my table, and started working with the retirees, pre-retirees. Now through that process, the current state of how you withdraw money from your portfolio in retirement is really archaic. It's called the 4% rule. Maybe you've seen it somewhere, but basically it's like you put all your money in conservative portfolio, and then you can withdraw 4% per year, and that should last. Let's hope. And that really just didn't do it for me. Like I'm the type of guy, I need a good system. I need good structure. I can't be like, it might work. You should be fine. So I went back into my laboratory and I created this retirement distribution strategy, which is what we call it, which is really just a fancy way of saying we can make you. Uh-oh. Allergy season. We can take a certain amount of money and put that into such a structure that it will last your entire life, like without a doubt. And the cool part is, because of the way that we do it, I can get you 5%, not 4%. That's neither here nor there. That's another conversation for another time. But point being, I had to come up with this system for these retirees. Now, when I left Wells Fargo, my intention was always to start a firm that worked with a younger clientele. Reason being, I love my retirees. If you're watching this, I love you guys. I really do. But point being, if you're 60 or older, you can hold a sign up on the side of the walk that says, "I need a financial advisor," and you will be hounded. Right? There's no shortage of financial advisors looking for retirees. That is the entire industry, right? But there's nobody looking for young families that don't have $1 million in the bank, because they can't make any money off of you. So when I left Wells Fargo, I was bound and determined to develop a financial planning firm that served those people who really needed financial planners just as badly as the retirees, maybe more, and still make it profitable, right? So everybody wins. And that's where our current fee structure came from, which is sort of an adjacent good thing, right? That's why we charge on a membership basis, and we don't really care about AUM fees all that much. We charge 25.25%, right, compared to 1% for everybody else. Anyway, so that was a good thing that came out of all of that. I was super motivated to work with people more in my demographic that had this tremendous need that wasn't being met. But the number one thing to come out of that is this retirement distribution strategy that I developed has now, full circle, allows me to know how much money you need to be able to get out of the rat race. Boom. We can back into, because of the system that I developed, we can back into how much money you need, where we can take that money and we can create income from you indefinitely, indefinitely, no matter what's happening in the world. Boom. Okay. Now for the regulars, it's not guaranteed. I'll explain it to you when we get there, but the thing works. I back tested it. So that was pivotal point number 2, right? Developing the system because of my experience at Wells Fargo. Pivotal point number 3 just happened, like literally like over the last 3 months. So, last year 12, right, of doing this, right? Started in 2008 professionally. Year 12, last year, 2020, it all came together from a service model perspective, right? So we hired, Taylor was on board, and then we hired Chantal, and then we got this really like crazy good project management system, which is now how we operate our entire business out of. And it just all culminated into this like wonderful, beautiful, perfected service model where our members are stoked and well served, and we're doing so many things and helping them in so many ways that they never thought was possible. It's just like, whoa, just a beautiful thing. And the cool part is now that we have that all together, we got the thing really built and really dialed in. Now my team, right, Taylor and Chantal, are now taking over most of the day-to-day servicing stuff, right? The stuff that required most of my time week over week for the last 13 years. They're doing like 95% of it now, which has now freed me, starting back in January, for the very first time in my entire financial planning career, to focus on growing the firm. Like, great, we got this amazing thing. Now we got to take it to the people. We got to get it as many people's hands as possible because this thing is so good, it's going to change lives. And so that's been my focus all year. Okay, I'm coming to the third point. So a few different things sort of came together over the last 3 months. And it's, like I've said in other videos, like what you focus on is what is manifested, right? It's just the universe, it happens. It just, whatever you're focused on day in and day out, obsessively, it's like those things happen, right? So I've been focused on the service model day in and day out. We have this perfect thing. I've been focused day in and day out on like how to grow things, and like it's all come together. Okay, so here's how it's come together. So we hired a marketing consultant back in January. Kristen, what's up? You're great. One of the interviews that I listened to her that she did was like, she ran the only other financial planning firm that I've ever seen that focused on young families, right? And she said in an interview, the reason why she focused on the young families is, you know, all these people like were really super high overachievers, destined for great things, but they were kind of stuck in the mud because they had responsibilities and they needed a paycheck and they were required to trade their time for a paycheck. And her thinking was, man, if I could get these people beyond needing a paycheck, then they can go on and do wonderful things. And I was like, yeah, that's really how I've always thought of things. I mean, that's definitely always been my MO, like leverage. Like if I can help people that will then go do, if I can help people in a great way that will then go on and do their own great things, like that's leverage. Like my effort actually turned from 1 to 1 into 1 to 10, right? So I've always been very obsessed with that sort of idea. So that came together. Second part, this guy Russell Brunson I just told you about, my new hero. In one part of his book, it was talking about how do you create a movement, like how do you get really people just like fanatically obsessed with what you're doing, and the crux of it was whatever you do, you can't make it better, right? It can't be than the next guy, than the next thing, right? It can't be better, it can't be faster, it can't be more efficient, right? It has to be something totally new, totally something they've never seen before. And I'm coming together and I'm like, okay, that makes total sense, because I've always been like, we're better, we use more technology, we're more hands-on, we're everything, like, but in comparison to these other people, right, that are financial planners. So I've been so I was thinking about like, okay, what's our new thing? And through that process, I'm down in this process, and I remember the morning, because I was so excited. I told Nicole, my wife, I was jumping out of my seat, sort of like I am now. This is me not caffeinated, by the way. This is just how excited I am about this stuff. And it just came together. And it was like one of those movies where, you know, like the main character comes to his aha moment, and then like it does a flashback through all the different scenes that came up to this moment, and then that led to this, and it was like, oh, that's what it's felt like. And that's the cloud I've been on for the last, whenever that happened, 4 weeks ago. And my moment for that was, people don't want just to conquer financial complexity, which has been our thing. Everybody we talk to, right? I flash back to every conversation I've had like this with everybody I've ever had. And it goes something like this. So you're super successful. You make a ton of money. You're really good at what you do. You get a certain amount of satisfaction from your job. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I don't know, but I don't want to be working. Really? So, like, if you could retire tomorrow, would you? Yes. Hell yes. Please. Oh my God, yes. I would retire tomorrow if I could. Every single person, I don't care what they do, where they're from, whether they're an engineer or a salesperson or management or whatever. That is always the answer. Always the answer. And I realized that's the thing. And it all added up, right? So I had this experience where I got off the rat race a long time ago, right? Like I started pursuing my passion a long time ago. So that's really important because I can't tell you how different life is, even when you're struggling, how different it is when you're working on something bigger than yourself. So number one, that jives. All of a sudden, I've built this system where I can actually tell people how far out they are. And believe it or not, you're probably not as far out from your singularity event as you think you are. But I have this whole system where I can calculate how far out you are, and then we can sustain it forever and ever and ever. And then the third thing is everybody wants to get out of the rat race. Everybody wants to go on and do their thing. And even if you don't know what your thing would be right now, it's because if you think it's so far out, you don't want to even tease yourself with like considering the possibilities. So it's just like for the first time in my career, maybe in my life, it's just like it is all so clear and so congruent and just like, you know, it must be how like a rowing team feels when they're just like totally dialed in. It's just like everybody is so in sync and we're just flying. Anyway, so that's the current state of the business. That's the backstory I'm now using for all these stories. So this probably is not the last time you'll hear it. Let me know what you think too. Actually, I'm always open for feedback. But man, I am just so pumped. We're about to do wonderful, amazing, terrific things. And not just for us, but for the people that we serve who are then going to go on and do wonderful, amazing, terrific things. And man, let's start a revolution. It's time, guys. It's time. Industrial age is over a long time ago. We need something new where we all wake up stoked to get to it because we love what we do and we're out of the rat race. Yes. All right. Thanks for watching. There's some Friday evening enthusiasm for you. We'll see you next time. Oh, subscribe below to continue following the journey. To be continued. It's not over yet. To be continued. To continue following the journey. Hit subscribe. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.